Welcome to My Love of Life Energy. I'm Anna Scott, your host. I love beautiful, rich conversations that reveal the truth, beauty, and uniqueness of each person I meet, and I'm honored to share them with you. Good morning and good afternoon, and welcome to my podcast, My Love of Life Energy. And today I am delighted to have Ann Prentiss with me. Ann is a horticulturist, and I met her because she found me. She and I did an exchange together. She became a client, and then she designed my new backyard. So welcome, Ann.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here, Anna.
I am absolutely delighted. The reason I wanted to have you on this podcast is I love sitting with you and I love sitting in your energy field.
Thank you. I feel
And
the same about you. You bring out the best in me.
oh, that could be a song. You, when we first met, and I don't think I've ever done this with another person, I immediately knew I wanted to do a trade with you. There was something about you that I could feel. I wanted to redo my beds to be a more natural garden and have food included. And how do you understand horticulture? What's your experience of it?
Wow, that's a big question. Um, so to me, uh, horticulture is actually just a natural science. That's how it works for me. I'm sure there are other horticulturalists who would feel differently. Their uh, work with it or how they express it is different than what I do. Uh, Horticulture is, actually um, the growing and of plants, as from what I understand it. But for me, it's a little different. I say horticulturalist because it's easier to say. For me, it's creating. As a horticulturist, I like to create gardens for people that mimic nature. So I like to use native plants, and in order to bring in the life that comes with it. You know,
Oh,
the uh, plants and and insects and other life in the on the planet have evolved together in little ecosystems that are dotted around the planet. And so by providing the resources for other wildlife they've evolved together for so many million, years, millions of years to develop this relationship they have so everybody can thrive. That's what I try to create is just a little bit of nature in people's backyards. And then by all these different backyards being around, then we're helping to restore um, the planet as best we can after having spent centuries probably uh, uh, dismantling nature because we thought we needed to do that for multiple reasons, I guess.
I didn't realize until right now that that was the, I know this is kind of, I feel embarrassed to say it, that I was getting more than I thought. Like, yes, I wanted natural plants in my garden, but I didn't realize what I'm getting is a whole ecosystem, a habitat.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You have your own little world. It's in your backyard, and then within that own little world, um, I get all choked up, sorry.
No, it's beautiful. That's why you're here, is because,
Within that ecosystem in your backyard, there are little ecosystems happening,
oh,
you
say
know,
more.
like a garden that I work in. There's a gentleman I work in his garden in Orinda, and he is really he leaves it all natural. Does natives, no deadheading, no fussing or grooming. It's just left as it is. And he has this big old oak on his property, and he leaves the dead in it too, because on that dead branch, there's so many things that live on that. And it provides li resources to so many different critters, fungus and animals and other plants that live on that. So, again, within there's life. The lichens on your fence. A lichens itself is just a whole crazy organism in that it's a combination of oh fungus and oh shoot, I can't remember. Algae? No. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Um uh
That's what Google's for.
yeah, yeah, well I should know that and I do, but I'm nervous a little bit. Um so there's just so much going on and you have like you said your backyard as an ecosystem and then you have um connected because depending on how mobile the residents of your ecosystem are, they may live in other ecosystems as well. Your neighbors or they're migrants. Think about the monarch butterflies in the distance, these s- beautiful little frail appearing creatures fly thousands of miles. I mean, it's just mind-boggling to me. Mind-boggling.
I we have some monarchs in my neighborhood, and anytime I see one, like I feel like I'm being followed by this beautiful creature. Just beautiful. Th- There was something you said, Anne, that really struck me. It was that about this man that he leaves the dead there. What I felt was that all of life was there. Like everything was included. The death was part of life,
Right.
and it was a whole system.
It is. But that's life. you know and that's the beauty of it is that things uh life begins in whatever form in a plant you may have we can say we start with a seed. It's sort of like a chicken. Is it the chicken or the egg, which comes first? But so you have a seed and it grows into a plant and then it flowers and then it forms more seeds and depending on its lifespan, it may live a year, or it may live 2 years, or it may be perennial and live more years. But then it dies and it adds food and nourishment to the soil and the creatures that live in the soil, and life begins again. It's just this biological cycle of life that happens.
God, it's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
When you are in your gardens, what do you experience?
Um, well, what brings me joy in being in a garden are the little moments of interaction with other creatures.
Hmm.
So to have the other day, I was in a garden and there are hummingbirds and they're Anna's hummingbirds is a name and they're very territorial. And so there's a couple that are always uh, dueling over the space. And so I was standing there, and it sounded like they were probably, oh, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches from my head. And this whiz comes by me. And this one was chasing the other because, don't you come into my garden and my territory. So it's those moments, or seeing. I once saw in a rose flower. There was a spider that had preyed on a honeybee. And
Oh, wow.
what was really amazing about it is the spider's body was white, like the petals of the rose.
Oh, my
And
God.
that's how, isn't that amazing? That's how he managed to capture, I guess, that honeybee. Was that the honeybee came by to check out to see if there was anything that it wanted, and the spider was there in disguise,
Oh,
camouflaged.
wow.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Or when you see spiders and they'll be in webs and sometimes if you tap of the web a little bit, the spider will get their web to vibrate because
Really?
well, yeah, because they what I think that what it is they think that some creature, some prey has landed on the web. And by vibrating it, it entangles them more in the web so they can't escape. And then they can go and it's my understanding that what they do is they inject them with, they don't necessarily kill them right away, but they'll inject them with some sort of venom or fluid that paralyzes them. And then they wrap them up sometimes. So it's just really the little strategies that nature had that different animals and plants too. The classic Venus flytrap that lures in insects and then into this fluid and oftentimes, especially for flies, if it's something you'll notice that with flies are attracted to smelly what we think is foul smelling odors. And
Uh,
so in some and I remember in being back east that there's a plant called a skunk cabbage and it smells really bad, but it's an early bloomer. And flies are back there were the first insects to emerge in the spring. And
oh, wow.
so in order for it to be pollinated, it smelled bad to attract those insects, and it was insect pollinated. So it's just these strategies that these
Oh, wow.
creatures, the plants as well as animals, plants have to stay in place and evolve that way and uh, adapt to their environment, but standing in place. I mean, yes, some are wind pollinated and they can travel some distance, and some animals may if they have fruit or seeds that stick onto things or birds will eat them and then poop the seeds out somewhere else so they can get around that way. Or man, we're a part of nature,
Wow.
and so we move around plants and have for since we started traversing the planet, or even the peoples within a particular ocean bound or ocean were restricted to a certain landmass because of the waters and didn't traverse across the water, then they would move things around. I mean, there's lots of stories of indigenous people. There's a wonderful book that a woman,
Huh.
Anderson is her last name, that she wrote about the management of the management by the indigenous peoples of California, how they manage the resources here. Um,
Wow.
yeah, it's just amazing. Anyway, yeah.
There's this, so my work and the coaching that I do, and I study this thing called the gene keys. And they have this one gene key, and it goes from codependence to sensitivity to sacrifice, but it's from codependence, independence to interdependence. And when you were describing what was going on, I saw the truth of what this gene key was speaking to, how we're interdependent on each other. Nature
Absolutely.
it's all working together.
Right, right. And in any ecosystem, it's just and then in the larger planet as well, that if one member of that system is changed or something is changed within that ecosystem, it just really wreaks havoc on the system, you know. And unfortunately, what I have what from what I know, humans are the ones who wreak the most havoc on the systems. Through, it's a wonderful thing what we've learned about science and everything, but at the same time, when we've introduced, you know, exotic or which are species from another ecosystem. Some of our worst pests have been introduced species. Um, so. yeah, I did AmeriCorps for a year, and I remember one of the trainings, one of that we did, and an activity to do. I work with middle school students. Is you take a ball of string and you stand in a circle and you toss the ball to across to the person, and everybody tosses back and forth, so everybody is holding onto that string, and then somebody will come and kind of ping the the string, and you can see how it vibrates out
Oh,
through the string, and just a kind of a mimic of what happens in on the planet, that how one little thing can reverberate throughout the system.
mm. God, I love it. I realize I have my thumbs up. God, that's so funny. Um, anyway, that is a thumbs up. But that's, I think, the thing that I'm loving, Anne, that you're speaking to, and this is where I am going to tie a little bit into me, is that, I want people to pause and slow down.
Mm,
And what I hear is when you get in the garden, you get really present and you start to see what's really there.
yes. And then the more you sit, it's anywhere within nature, whether it's the garden or if you go out for a walk in to any park, or down a trail, and if there's a place to sit, or even if you create your own place to sit under a tree, if you sit, then you start seeing, then nature starts coming alive. The area around you starts coming alive, you know. Um, uh, so it's you start seeing all the insects and the birds. The birds start showing themselves a little bit more. I know a lot of wildlife photographers, and they go out and they'll sit. You just go and sit somewhere and just watch how nature shows itself, because there's not a disturbance.
So I have a question for you because this is the unity of our work. I didn't see this till right now.
Uh-huh.
And when you're in nature and you're sitting, how do you experience yourself? What's the feeling that you get to have when you're just sitting there watching?
Well, I lose myself.
Hmm.
I don't really it's I don't really think of myself. I feel there's a lightness
Mhm.
that I feel. And just nature brings me a lot of joy. And so just to sit and to be in a garden, whether I'm working or just sitting and watching interactions between plants and animals, or whatever the interaction is, um, uh, it's I think too, and I'm thinking more about it, and I think that I lose sense of self. And I think that that's because I feel uh, connected to something bigger. Because when you tune into nature and all the wonders that it is, um, it really draws you in, um, it it makes you feel like you're a part of something bigger and better. And that's, I think, the reason, it may be part of it for horticultural therapy,
Oh,
is the wonder of what you're dealing with. The idea of planting seeds, a seed, a tiny little seed, and watching it grow. Think about an acorn, and 300 years later, you've got this magnificent tree that provides resources, in some cases, for 1,800 different living beings, different types of living beings. I mean, that's just mind-boggling. And that's from a seed, a tiny little seed that perhaps a squirrel grabbed and stuck over somewhere, or it just landed on itself and grew itself. without any coercion from anybody. It just did its thing, and to think that what a gift, what a privilege to be a part of something so magnificent that when I think about it, and the glory of and the grace of nature. I mean, it's ugly sometimes, don't get me wrong. Nature can be really, really, I'm a raptor enthusiast. And I've seen some pretty ugly thing. A friend of mine saw, well, because predator eats prey, that's part
Mhm.
of the cycle. So it can be ugly. But still, it's a beautiful, magnificent machine.
It's funny about the prey. I'm a big hawk fan.
Yeah.
Like they're my bird. And yesterday, my daughter, she works at Pete's up in Montclair in Oakland. She
Uh-huh.
took a picture of a hawk eating a pigeon on the sidewalk in Montclair.
Oh,
I go,
really? Oh, wow.
and just the like what you just said, but it's part of nature.
Right.
There's
Right.
an honesty to it.
Yes. Yes. And it's just, yeah. And when you think about it, especially I too am into hawks and those birds of prey. And it's a tough life that a hawk leads. It was probably a red-tailed hawk.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, um 80% of them don't make it past to their first birthday.
Oh, I did not realize that.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Oh my
a
God, I love
tough
them even
life.
more now.
Yeah, yeah, and they're the most dominant. If you see a hawk or a raptor in the sky, it's like 85% chance that it's going to be a red-tailed hawk. But it's a tough life for them. It's yeah, but
What I
magnificent.
what I feel from you, and what I've loved with being with you is that your reverence for life.
Yeah. How can you not? How can when you take, like you were saying, when you take the time to sit and really look at what's going on, and then I've had the good fortune of being able to study plants and nature, and because I'm so uh, uh, drawn to it and I want to understand it better. But when you just sit and watch and look at Oh, a butterfly just flew past my window. I don't know who it was. I just saw a shadow. Isn't that funny? Um, uh, on the other side of my curtain. Um, but if you just like I said, if you take the time to look and just to be, it's and you look, it's like people. Plants and nature are like people. We're all different. Even though people are all the same species, but each one is very unique. Everybody has their own, plants have textures and patterns on their foliage, and people are the same way. We each have our own texture and our own foliage, so to speak, that uh, um, we we get the good fortune of being able to change or modify a little bit externally to express our own personalities the way we want. But plants too have their own personalities.
What's so interesting is we're and I can't believe how similar, well, I shouldn't be surprised how similar we are because what I want to do with people is have them sit and look, just look and see, and that to see the beauty and the uniqueness. And what just occurred to me when you were talking, like plants thrive in a certain location where it's natural to them. And I think when we really listen to ourselves as a human being, we have that same thing.
Yes, yes,
Where I'm going to thrive is going to be different where somebody else is going to thrive.
right,
But
right.
do I sit and listen?
Yes. Yes. Because there's not, I have a friend who she loves nature, but she doesn't, I mean, she respects it, but she's an indoor person. She doesn't really go like that's is not compelled, to go outside, and that's okay. I kind of figure that's more space for us who like to be out there.
Well, she's an indoor plant.
She's an indoor plant. That's right. That's right. But at the same time, she has a love of it, of nature, but she just doesn't feel drawn to be outside as much. And that's okay. It's just we express ourselves differently, and our needs are different, and our purposes are different. Just like with a plant. Plants have, they feed certain insects, and they provide different things to their system.
Right. And that's what I always try to tell is just be your own plant, be yourself.
Right, there you go. I like that.
Because if you can be yourself, then you apply. So you are changing careers. We're coming to the end. And tell me what you would love to do for people with your business.
Well, my focus is going to be strictly now on is inspiring people to get outside and to be in their yards and to look at nature and and um and to help um to inspire people to tap into the wonder of nature. I think that because we're a part of it, it's part of your world. And I think most people, I think it's there. And even if you don't want to be out there all the time, I think it's a part of who we are, because we're a part of it. So I want people to um I want them to be able to uh, recognize and the wonder of nature, and uh, I want them to want to help restore our planet, and one garden at a time. That's sort of my uh, motto is restoring uh, uh, the ecosystem at a human scale, one garden at a time. And whether it's planting and uh, an oak, which is big if you have they can be big, although there are smaller ones. But um, to to I think my concern is that if we don't take care of our insects and provide them with resources that they need, like we, the things of life, food, water, shelter, those things, then we've doomed our planet. And we don't want to do that. And so I want people to realize that, they can be a cog in the wheel, and that's a good space to be. Just add a few native plants. Get out there and look at them and look at all the life that by mindfully selecting plants. There are keystone species that you can get the most bang for your buck, so to speak, that you can provide resources for many in for by mindfully selecting plants, you can provide a habitat in a container in your backyard. That's
Yep.
all it takes. And if everybody had containers, think of what we would all provide. It would be miraculous.
Well, you did it with me, and
That's
I
right.
thank you.
That's right. We did.
We
Yeah,
did. We redid it, and you mindfully selected. And so we've come to our end. It's people, if they want to find you, I know your website isn't up yet, but can they email you if people are inspired to want you to work on their garden with them or to help consult with their garden?
sure.
Can they
That would be
email them?
lovely. Yes, I'd be
Okay,
happy to talk to people. And so my email address at this point is Ann, ANN, at annprentissgardens.com.
great. Anna, it's been just an honor to have
Thank
you
you,
here.
Anna.
I love you.
I appreciate you. I love you too. You have a great day.
You too. Thank you.